It's time for Pure Performance.
Get your stopwatches ready. It's time for Pure Performance with Andi Grabner and Brian Wilson.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pure Performance. My name is Brian Wilson, and as always, I have with me the very fashionable but injured Andi Grabner today. How are you doing, Andi?
Well, I really like it that you say it's a fashion statement because I never thought about this. Yeah, it's like a little scarf, or like, what's it called? A buff? What is it called?
A gaiter. We call it a gaiter here for
gaiter,
like a ski gaiter, but yeah.
Yeah, I have an injured muscle on my back, and my the lady that gives me massages on the back, she also tells me that I need to keep it warm. Mm-hmm. The muscles need to stay warm so that I recover faster. And so I follow the advice on what other people tell me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess you don't have a segue from that, do you?
Maybe I do, because let me think about this. How would I segue?
The advice that the medical profession comes up with is shared and developed over time, and it's not proprietary. It's
open,
given to people,
and
developed and developed and developed until it becomes a standard of care that everybody accepts.
Yeah. I would say we both stop trying to find a good segue and just introduce our guest today. Diana Todea, we met each other several times now over the last couple of months. The most vivid memory, and I just watched and rewatched the video, at least the first couple of minutes, from Cloud Native Days Austria, where she presented on From Zero to Developer, my 1-year serendipity journey with OpenTelemetry. And Diana, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's a really inspiring story that you have, and I really want to give you a chance to talk to our audience that we have here on how you started contributing to open source, right? I mean, you picked OpenTelemetry as a project, but really that there's so much more from a contribution perspective than code contribution. Now, I think you can tell this much better. I would like you to start, though, with a quick introduction about yourself, who you are, what is your background, and then we go over to the topic about how to contribute to open source.
Yeah, perfect. Hi, Brian. Hi, Andi. Nice to see you again. Of course, my name is Diana Todea. I'm Romanian living in Valencia, Spain. And I've been working in tech for like 16 years altogether. For the last 4-5 years as a site reliability engineer in observability. And very recently, like in the last 6 months or so, I changed my profession to developer experience engineer, or how people say developer relation or developer advocate. Anyway, and I'm working currently at Victoria Metrics. What I can say more about myself. Like you said very well, for me, OpenTelemetry always was like, the new kid in the block. I started to hear so much about this project actually a couple of years back, due to the DevRels that were making a lot of noise. I think Dotan Horowitz was one of the first ones telling about OpenTelemetry and how it's going to become like a soon de facto standard for observability. So I was getting more and more curious. More companies were adopting it in production. They were sharing stories. So obviously, as a site reliability engineer, I was like really keen to start working with it. So this is how I got curious about the project. And last year, actually in 2024, I saw Linux Foundation putting a post about searching for observability subject matter experts to start contributing to the OpenTelemetry exam certification. And that was how I started, basically. Like a bunch of us got together. It was like a community. We started like creating questions, revising questions for this exam, checking like the official documentation, obviously, and also not official documentation, getting together, putting our ideas, and getting started with this project. From my perspective, yes, I didn't have any, let's say, prior knowledge or prior experience with OpenTelemetry. So for me, it was a perfect introduction, right, into the project. It was also really great because I got started with the documentation, learning more about it, talking to the people, like really getting curious about like, who's the maintainer, like who's contributor, who's like doing what in OpenTelemetry. And slowly, I got more involved. Yeah.
Yeah. And fast forward, I mean, I was just reading up on some of the postings that you recently did. Last time we met was at KubeCon in Atlanta, where you have received the Contributor Award 2025. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. And it's amazing how short of a journey, but a year later, you are being awarded for the work that you have put back into the community.
Yeah, that's true. And to be honest, I was like also surprised. Also, my other colleagues that got the same award were like really happy and surprised in the same time. That basically all of us did amazing contributions. Some of us with code contributions, some of us with non-code contributions. So it was really, really nice that after all the effort, at least the community knew that we were doing something, and that was like pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a question for you now, because you just mentioned that some of your colleagues did code contributions, someone contributed documentation, demos, whatever there else is. I think there's a big misconception still, I guess, that open source contribution is often focused just on code. Whereas, and this is why in the picture I was wearing my captain hat, and I was putting my open feature mark into the camera. You obviously contribute a lot to OpenTelemetry. And if I think at all of these projects, people that start new, they basically heavily rely on good documentation, good getting started guides, good tutorials, and working demos. And I remember our early days at Captain, when we kicked this off, the biggest challenge was to keep exactly these getting started guides and tutorials and demos up to date, because there was so much changing on the code, and we all wanted to code and not so much then making sure that everything else runs. Right? We were focusing on building new cool things. And so this is why it's a great reminder for all of us that open source contribution is not limited to just code.
No, that's true. And actually, how can I say, many people can get into, for example, code contribution or non-code contribution, but divert to the other one. It really is like a circle, right? So it depends like how much you're trying to get involved, how much time you spend in the project, and you understand a bit, you get some maturity level, and you understand, I think that developer experience or, this community contributions are really important, because, you are the voice in the end. You are exposing that developer work to the outside world. You are inviting more contributors. So yeah, both type of contributions count. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a moment? I know you said obviously your background is observability, right? I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile. You had a couple of years at Elastic as a site reliability engineer. You had another site reliability engineering role at EQS Group. So obviously you've been working with that type of technology for a while, and you wanted to learn OpenTelemetry. Did you have a moment where you were saying, where you're feeling like you cannot really contribute because you don't know enough? Or how was this initial hurdle? I could understand that the initial hurdle might be a little bit tough to take. How did you manage that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it really depends on each person background, right? So if obviously you're like a software engineer or you're coming from like a programming, we have like a strong, or let's say like a programming experience, it's easier for someone to immediately start, let's say, with code contributions, right? Because you're thinking like that, you have projects, you have the expertise, it's something that's natural to you, right? But for, let's say, like other professionals that don't necessarily work on a daily basis with the code, you're looking more like on a practical level, right? So does my company or within my projects, can I use OpenTelemetry? Can I use this in production? Can I test it? Can I see the benefits of it? So you're basically, as a contributor, as a person, you're like dependent on your company's overall strategy. So if your company really accepts OpenTelemetry or wants to experiment with OpenTelemetry, then obviously you get a use case, right? And you can use that use case and provide back to the community, like through your feedback. But obviously, if you don't have a use case, it's really difficult to implement this in your home lab or start doing anything like really in depth. So for me, that was the hurdle. So like I said, I started to contribute first to the exam with documentation. Then I had a moment actually at EQS when I POC'd OpenTelemetry. So we wanted to switch basically to something open source for application performance monitoring. So I came with this idea, okay, look, there is this amazing CSCF project that is taking the top shelf right now, so we should, implement it. But it's really difficult sometimes, to make companies adopt specific tools in production, right? There's a lot of going on in the background, a lot of, infrastructure changes, a lot of time, dedication from engineers. So how can I say, an engineer is as much as successful in adopting a CNCF project or an open source project as its company. So unless you want to go home and start doing this in your home lab, then you don't really have that much sense. You don't have that much feedback to brag about. So for me, it was like a cliche. It's like, okay, I want to work with this, but my company doesn't. How do I solve this controversy? And then I thought, okay, but that doesn't matter if my company doesn't adopt OpenTelemetry in production. I can just go ahead and start contributing to the project anyway. So like the first thing I saw, or like one of the things that really drew my attention, was localization. Localization, that means translating documentation in different languages and helping, the ecosystem expand, right, from English to other languages. And for me, this how it started with the first PR contributions to Spanish, and fast forward into Romanian as well.
Maybe we should, even though I have big ambitions to improve my Spanish, it's very limited. Maybe we should also ask you for instance, Open Feature, which is really a project that we have been driving over the last couple of years with many other contributors. I'm not sure if there's much effort going on in translating the documentation or demos into Spanish. Obviously, Spanish, a large population of the world with a lot of folks in Latin America that are leveraging open source technology. So if you know anybody else, Diana, that wants to translate stuff into Spanish, let me know. Or maybe a call to the listeners. If you know Spanish or French, Italian, Romanian. Did you also translate anything into Romanian?
Yeah. We started recently, yeah.
Well, then I think this is a great call to everyone. As you can see, open source contribution can touch anything from coding to translating documentation, demos, tutorials into these languages. Brian, have you ever contributed to open source?
Not to an open source project, no. I'm too busy with. I'm also just not as tech anymore. Well, but I can't translate. I can translate from English to English, or from English to really bad Spanish, all in the present tense. With, it would be quite a joke. But but no, I have not.
You're not.
So
Okay.
everybody listening can throw rocks at me if you see me for not having contributed to any open source projects.
Well, maybe Brian, if Diana and I were doing our job well today, by the end of this podcast, you will have opened up your browser and you're browsing on GitHub and finding some of these open source projects that are looking for first contributors, which brings me, Diana, to the next question. Let's assume somebody like Brian all of a sudden wants to contribute. What is a great place to start once you have identified, or actually before you identified your tool? In your case, it was clear and easy, right? Open observability and OpenTelemetry. But for people that may have different topics that they're interested in, do you have any recommendations on how to find projects that are looking for people?
Yeah, of course. So actually, it's great that you asked that, because I just today I got a message from somebody wanting to contribute to OpenTelemetry and cloud native and open source, and they asked me, like for beginner tips, where to start, where to look. So I wrote an article about this just today. And for me, I found that is really nice to look for. There are specific directories that list cloud native projects that have opened good first issues, which are really excellent for beginners. So if you go to such websites, I mean, you can Google them, they will come out pretty fast. They will give you like a list. You can select whatever the projects, for example, Jaeger, Prometheus, OpenTelemetry, etc. And all the GitHub issues, good first issue, will open up. So it's really very easy to identify them. So for me, that would be the first thing I would check. Besides, obviously, the official documentation before getting into the whole realm of documentation.
Cool. Yeah, and also, Diana, if you have any of the links that you want to share, we will definitely add it to the description of the podcast. If I quickly do a search, I find the Start Contributing to Open Source, which is a page on the CNCF website. And as you said, there's many different things. There's also, it seems, some issue labels that have been specified, exactly such as a good first issue label that maintainers should put on their GitHub issues. And folks, right, there's like, obviously, we talk a lot about observability here, and we keep mentioning things like you just said, Jaeger, Prometheus, OpenTelemetry, but there's so many other projects out there, right? If I think and also look at your resume on LinkedIn, you've worked with tools like Argo CD, right? You've worked obviously with Kubernetes. There's so many projects, everything from from coding to testing to deploying to orchestration. There's plenty of opportunity in any type of area.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing that I would recommend for someone like, before really putting the finger on one specific project is be like really broad, right? So look at like, what really interests you here and why do you want to do this? Like, what's your objective in starting with these contributions? Do you want to work on a skill, on a technical skill that you want to improve at your work? I know at your company you are specifically asked to contribute to open source, or are you interested in specific tools? Or do you want to improve your programming skills, whatever? So be very specific, because I think this will help you in the long run, right? So if you have like a strong motivation and, very clear objective, then, okay, then maybe I need to improve my Go programming skills or my Python programming skills. And then I need to know to look at this and that, which, might intersect with a bunch of projects. And be very personal in your pick. I mean, for me, it was something really personal. I wanted to like, okay, I'm really curious about this project. Everybody's talking about it. I want to know if it's the truth or it's just hype, So it was like maybe like a very personal challenge that I took on myself. And that worked out because you're going to meet a lot of frustrations. That's also something you ask, a lot of hurdles, a lot of moments when you're going to maybe be demotivated to start to continue contributing. You're going to have some downtime, due to X, Y, Z reasons. And then you remind yourself, oh, I haven't contributed in a while to this project. What happened? Am I still interested in it? Should I go back? Something new changed, or is something else that I'm doing at the moment that might get me back on the road? So there are very, very different reasons why you want to contribute in the long run. And like you said, there are a lot of opportunities, not only code and on-code contributions, but just like, writing articles. Writing articles about something you experimented at work or in a project and putting it out there, right? There are a lot of websites where you can just simply add your explanations or like a tutorial or technical issue, just explain, and you're going to have a lot of feedback from the users. So this is what I really love. Once I really started to get out there, be a bit more vocal and involved with the project, many people just ping me. So how did you get started? Where should I look? To what Slack channels should I start writing? Who do you recommend I should contact? And that actually motivates you, brings you back in the game.
Yeah. Obviously, feels good when people see you as an expert and want your help.
Yeah, and not because it's the expertise comes with time. I think this is very important. It's not, obviously being a contributor for a year or 2 years to be honest, is not that long, especially if you're doing this in your free time. It's very, very opposed to if your company basically pays you to do that open source work. So for me, I'm an individual contributor, which means I contribute whenever I have free time. So luckily, a year can be, I don't know, as much as 10 or 20 PRs. That's not a lot, it really depends on the, your investments, on your personal motivation. But normally if you take it like as a whole and you analyze it, you're like, oh, it's just 10 PRs a year, So that's really important. You cannot be an expert on a specific project within a year or even 2 years. You really need to go deep dive. You need to check a few more other complex situations. I know that for now I had only time, my free time for localization project, because that's only the limited free time I have. But I know that next year I want to contribute with code. So I have already set my eyes on a couple of initiatives in OpenTelemetry and Kubernetes. And I'm already, laying the work, or let's say like the groundwork for what's next. I think it's interesting how do you motivate yourself. The same like you go, for example, to the gym, and sometimes you're like, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym. I want to stay home and rest. And, one day goes into, like a week and months and you're never going to work out. It's the same with open source contributions. So you need to work on your motivation.
It's fascinating. Because I find myself not wanting to come down to my studio to work on stuff all the time, so I get the gym thing. I was curious, we've been, and I'm not trying to do a big thing on bringing AI into this because I only bring it up for good reasons. We've been talking about AI a lot, and I imagine, as you were talking about contributing, right, people might look to contribute but leverage AI to help them contribute, and I'm wondering what you're seeing in terms, maybe two types of submissions coming into open source projects, and if there's any reaction that you're seeing to them. The first would be if somebody is using AI to help them either with a translation or with code, but obviously cleaning it up and making it good. Is that something that the open source community is generally receptive, using AI as an assistant, but a not just to do it and submit it as is, but like as a helpful starting place to assist. But also on the same time, how much are you seeing where people who want to contribute just whip something up in AI and submit it without checking it and just pretending like, yeah, look, I'm contributing? Is that something you're seeing in any of these projects?
Yeah, definitely. So only in OpenTelemetry and only in localization, we've seen both trends. Definitely. So right now, I think that we cannot really, how can I say, limit people not to use AI if they want to use AI. The idea is, like you well said, use AI as an assistant, as a, I don't know, let's say like a good place to start to lay the groundwork, but you need to be involved there consciously, be aware, go through it, polish it, etc. So definitely that happens because it depends also on the volume of the work, right? So let's imagine you have like multiple pages or a page and you want to, put a structure to it. That's totally fine. We are not against using AI as, I know, your assistant or your pilots. We even encourage it, and I think we recently also created like a AI specific assistant to search through the docs. We also like different maintainers contribute with guides how to use for technical writing AI. So we try to make it as responsible as possible, right? But then we also get the every now and then contributor or wannabe contributor that just pushes a PR, and you definitely see like, I don't know, some kind of line there that puts like a footprint that was generated by AI and was not really digested by any human brain. And then obviously we tend to frown upon this type of contributions, and we are here to educate ourselves and try to be a bit careful, right? Because in the end is our work. Once you publish this, everybody's going to see it. If you're going to do a mistake, then you want to go back and you're just going to multiply the work. And in the end, we want to be respectful as possible for the entire community. So yeah, AI is great. Just let's use it responsibly. Yeah.
I never thought about, Brian, it's an awesome thought. I never thought about obviously using AI to generate PRs that may or may not get accepted, because it always depends on the reviewers. But if you want to kind of quote unquote earn a reputation for contributing, you could misuse AI to just, come up with PRs. And I guess that was your thought, right? I mean, this is the...
Yeah, there's a way to use it. I mean, I guess you'll earn a reputation either way. If you use it poorly, you'll earn a reputation as, oh, that guy over there just keeps submitting AI slop to our code base, right? So
yeah. But I mean, knowing how good AI assistant coding has become, I would assume that you can probably contribute some really good code changes, almost fully automated. And then, so my thinking now goes into a direction where if you build up your own GitHub profile and you're using AI to contribute to a lot of different projects, and let's assume with a good AI model behind the scenes, many of them get accepted, you can really, create a GitHub profile that looks from the outside like a really legit contributor. And then this can be used in multiple ways, obviously, right? Because then you might be able to contribute to projects where you need a certain level of community engagement to contribute. And all of a sudden that engagement is there, even though you may have never really contributed something that came from your brain. And so really, really interesting. Hey, Diana, I have another question for you. Looking at some of the stuff that you've posted recently, I was intrigued by your involvement in Merge Forward. So you've been involved with that group. Can you tell us a little bit about Merge Forward?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for bringing it up. And the Merge Forward, yes, it's actually a CNCF initiative that supports and creates safe spaces for underrepresented groups in tech. Actually, let's say it blossomed a few months back, just before KubeCon Atlanta, as there were already created some of, let's say, diversity and inclusion working groups, but then this like new initiative got emerged, and maybe like a rebranding also took place from a marketing perspective, and we added, I mean, not me myself, the CNCF added more working groups. Which is great, because besides the, let's say, some of the well-known like blind and visually impaired or deaf and hard of hearing, stuttering, and speech disabilities, we also got like other new groups like Neurodiversity, Friends of Dorothy, other like Black Roots and other initiatives, very good initiatives, to unify, to make this more global. And basically what I didn't know that all these groups were actually present until CNCF became a lot more vocal about it. And I joined the Neurodiversity initiative because I'm a neurodiverse person, and I really liked this initiative. And I think a lot of us are neurodiverse people working in tech. It was really great to see this type of involvement and acknowledgement. Why I think it's important? Because we also need to think about the human side of engineering, right? We are not just like perfect robots going to work and producing and being efficient, etc., etc. We also have a human side. We also have our, let's say, things that make us special and make us unique, and we are very multifaceted, right? So this part it's also a bit about human understanding, empathy, inclusion, diversity, etc. And one cool thing was that we prepared a lot actually before KubeCon Atlanta. We became more visible. We had actually a few panels at KubeCon Atlanta, a few sessions. We had a kiosk actually going on. If you remember, like all the kiosks with different open source projects, we had there a kiosk with our working groups talking about what we are doing, and we are meeting monthly. And that's really, really great. Things are starting to happen, and more people are joining us.
That's awesome.
I think that's fantastic because it's, I'm sure you hear a lot of stuff about what's going on in the United States these days, right? But most companies have been forced to drop their DEI initiatives, especially if they want to do any business with the government. And so in the corporate world, at least, you see all the improvements towards inclusion that were made, at least on paper, getting cut, right? Now, I think a lot of companies are still encouraging inclusion, but not officially as a statement, right? But to me, especially when I was looking over some of the stuff you were doing, in the notes you sent over, I was really encouraged to find out that it's more at a corporate level. But when you're going to the communities, when you're going into the, the conventions, the open source projects, that there's all this inclusion still going on. Because as you said, there's a lot of people that are neurodiverse working in tech, and I think that's actually one of the strengths, right? Because you need somewhat different brain wiring to look at the challenges of coding and computing in a different way and in a new light. So I think it's just beneficial for everything from that point of view. So I'm just happy, especially, living in the environment I live in these days. So.
Yeah, no, that's totally the reaction we got from people when we started to talk about this. I mean, physically, when we were on site at KubeCon Atlanta, that people approach us and say, "Hey, you are doing like a wonderful thing. I never spoke with anybody about this. I wish like we could take this momentum and get this going." And it was really, really nice because administratively we put a lot of effort, like we did a bunch of podcasts, we had a panel, we talked with people. Right now we keep the momentum going for KubeCon EU Amsterdam, so definitely we already starting to lay the groundwork. The moment we are creating like best practices, let's say best practices documentation that we want to polish and submit it to CNCF. Like this, employers, employees can take a look and see, oh, these are the best practices for the neurodiversity group. So we need to be careful about this type of issues, or we need to embrace this. We need to be careful. You have like resources. You can go to this particular website, and I think that's amazing. Once you like open the gates and the communication, a lot more support is happening. Yeah.
I can now encourage every listener that might be new to that topic, neurodiversity, and also Merge Forward. We will add also the links to the description, just to make sure that everybody finds the content. I have one more topic to cover, which is an event that you're also actively engaged in, which is coming up in May. I'm talking about Cloud Native Days Romania. And I remember when I rewatched the recording from Cloud Native Days Austria, you had your first or second slide up, and it says like everyone is a volunteer is a nice motto. From your words, Maisie, basically, can you tell us a little bit about that event that you're planning in Romania, and maybe encouraging some of our listeners, whether they are close to Romania, whether they always wanted to come to Romania, whether they always wanted to speak about things and take this as an opportunity to put in a CFP, call for papers? Tell us, what is Cloud Native Days Romania? What can people expect? And what is your kind of contribution to it?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, Romania is my home country, and I stumbled upon Cloud Native Days Romania by chance as an event this year. When I submitted a CFP, I submitted a talk, actually, and I got accepted. This year in May, I went there as a speaker. And I really liked it, not because, like I saw so many speakers and so many people, organizers involved from my own country, but the fact that the event itself had a lot of spread, right? So it had like 400 participants. It had a day full of workshop, a day full of talks, people coming talking about very new topics, AI and security and many different cool things. And I was really happy, that my country is organizing this. Cloud Native Days is like let's say an umbrella of events, right? Right now we have many events throughout Europe, especially Cloud Native Days Italy, etc. So we have loads of them. We are taking the momentum. There are, I think, former KCD events. Mm-hmm. So some of them transformed from KCD and they they rebranded into Cloud Native Days. And why I joined as an organizer this year, because to be honest, the whole organizing team really motivated me and energized me. And I was like, oh, these people that are doing this volunteer work, they put so much work, organized everything, went through so much preparation to just, give opportunity to people to speak, to share knowledge, talk about cloud native technologies. And for me, that was great. I wanted to be part of it. So this is what I'm doing now. We are definitely preparing the whole event. The CFP is already open. It's open until 7th of February. We definitely want to have more women speakers, speakers from, like I said, underrepresented groups. So, definitely we encourage that. A lot of topics as well. We have workshops. We have also a lot of tracks for tracks for the talks. From the perspective of where is the event is in Bucharest, the capital. So if you've never been to Romania, or if you wanted to see another capital in Eastern Europe, there is your moment. So you can definitely cross that and put it on your to-do list in your map.
Yeah. And I'm also very much looking forward to it, because I will be there as well. Because thanks to you and the organizer team, you reached out to have an MC. So I'm very happy to be there on stage and welcome the speakers on stage and do my role as an MC. So folks, the link to Cloud Native Days Romania is actually very easy. cloudnativedays.ro, which is the top level domain for Romania. It's May 18th to 19th next year. A beautiful city of Bucharest, and very much looking forward to being there. And so great that you are not only contributing to open source, but to the whole community. So that's just encouraging. Yeah.
So Andi, I got to say that, in the 1980s, an MC was, someone who rapped as well. So okay. I hope you take that to heart when you MC at the event and maybe come up with something to do there.
It's probably rapping might even be better than yodeling, because obviously as an Austrian, I could yodel my way around the stage, but I don't know how to yodel. I may be able to pick up some tips from rappers. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. People will be able to find it on YouTube, I'm sure, because everything is recorded. Awesome. Did we? Well, thank you so much for the conversation. Did we miss anything? Any final words? Any final thoughts for encouragement for people that now, like Brian, you can already see Brian. I think he's already secretly, he has opened the CNCF page for open source projects to contribute. And what else do we need to tell Brian to actually make the step to sign up for his first good issue?
Yeah, well, I think for me was like also intimidating the first time, like seeing the documentation there that sometimes can be too, how can I say, it can hit you, like being too broad, right? And you don't know, like, hey, where do I need to go? What should I do? Like too many good first issues. Just talk to people, right? So you have like Slack channels, you have the community, write something in the channel. Find something that you can be empathic, like from a human perspective, or even use your frustration about something that is not going right. You turn up the page on some project. It's like, oh, this issue is not the way I want it. It's a bug, or I want to improve this. Do it. Mm-hmm. Turn your frustration in your first good issue, and I think that will be work wonders on yourself and your contributions. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just want to dig into that a little bit. So I think, I'm just thinking from, obviously I've never done any of this stuff, right? But thinking from the GitHub model, and obviously a lot of projects are hosted in a repository like that. So what you're suggesting is if you're using one of these open source tools and you run into a problem where something doesn't seem to be working right, instead of just opening an issue to say this isn't working, what you're saying is, hey, try to fix that and then submit the fix for it, right? Which is, I think, a fantastic, because how many, we all run, no matter even, commercial code, there's always issues everywhere, right? So I think that's just a fantastic, great idea, especially if you're looking on the development side or even in the documentation side, right? If you're looking and it's like, oh, this is how you use it and it doesn't make sense. We've all run into documentation that doesn't quite make sense or is a little bit outdated. And that's another great, easy step. See, Andi, I'm giving myself ideas even, but
yeah, look at that.
Just go through, and if you find something that doesn't seem right, submit a fix. Yeah. Worst thing that happens is it doesn't get accepted, but you've tried and you've submitted, and next time you're becoming part of the community. And I just want to say too, I think the community thing is great. We've seen this time and time again in the IT community where everybody shares, right? Not just in the open source projects, but in general, people going to conventions or and speaking and sharing knowledge. Of course, people love to share things that went very well, but we also see and love when people share things that didn't go well, right? These are the mistakes we made, and this is what everyone learns from it. And now with the inclusion community that you're helping and all that stuff going on, it just never stops. It's always, I'm going to sound corny here, but it's always the people who are doing the right thing, right? You might see stuff from governments or corporations or whatever that are cutting these things out. But if you're part of the community of the people, you're always going to be around people who are doing the right thing. So it's fantastic to see it's still going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the things I got close to it. And like what Andi said, like you get so close to frustration and hurdles because, life is life and things happen. But then something comes up and, you get a nudge from somebody, you get a question, you get frustrated about something, and then you get like a really cool, awesome idea. And like, oh yeah, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to turn this. Oh, why did I never thought about that? So you get that human perspective and it's really nice. Or you lay in your bed, I don't know, at night and you're like, oh, I'm thinking about this talk. I could like create this awesome CFP about a panel and get my friends or my colleagues and we could start contributing. So there are different ways to be creative, and motivated, motivated about the contributions.
I'm blown away, Brian. Thank you so much for also chiming in and being obviously inspired by what Diana said earlier. No, thank you so much. Also, I have one thing, another venue for you, Diana, to spread your enthusiasm about this topic. Because Cloud Native Days Austria, you spoke there this year. We just opened up the CFP for next year. We will be back in Vienna at the same venue in September. So we're looking for contributors. I'm sure there will be topics again that you could present to inspire our local folks here in Austria. That would be great.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with this, I'm looking forward to seeing you again. I assume we will see each other at KubeCon Amsterdam, which happens end of March.
Yes.
Do you have talks accepted already, or are you waiting for the co-located events?
Yes, I'm waiting for the co-located events. Yeah.
Yeah. Same here. That's going to be January 6th, I think, is when they're sending out the notifications. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's like,
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Yeah, totally. And I'm looking forward to meet the community. Obviously, I think for me, last time at Atlanta was the first KubeCon, so I got a bit emotional. Definitely, I'm looking forward for the next one in Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Brian, I'm looking forward to your first pull requests, to your first...
I contribute music and photography. That's my open source.
Hey, you know what? Every open source project needs a good promo video, honestly.
Well, that's video editing. Yeah, I'm talking about photos or music. I could do theme songs for their...
Yeah. Come up with an OpenTelemetry theme song, gazing into the stars of, I don't know, something like that.
That's something I'll keep that in the back of my head if something starts coming. I just might have to do that. That would be it. That would be a really awesome thing.
Or on feature flakes, flip my switch, oh baby.
You can flip my
switch.
Andy, you should be a pop writer. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see the MC in you right now.
Exactly. Here we go.
There you go. All right.
Well, it was great talking to you, Andy and Brian. It was like really amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing you next and apply to Cloud Native Days Austria and, get the ball rolling on the open source contributions.
Sounds good.
Oh, and
Awesome.
before I forget, our last episode that we did was the first one of the new year, but this is the second one. We hadn't said Happy New Year or anything.
Happy New Year. Oh yeah.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
And this was also this is our 251st episode. So we missed New Year's and our 250th episode last time. We just totally blew by. So
crazy.
Diana, you are the first episode on the road from 250 to 300. So
amazing.
Thank you for helping us usher in that. Let's see if we can make it to 300. Thanks everyone for listening. And Diana, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really, really appreciate it. Keep up all the great stuff you're doing. Andy, as always, I don't know. Good luck being an MC.
Yeah, and thank you. I will keep my fashion stable.
And heal.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.